Previously on WDW Pro. Well, people are disliking the Little Mermaid trailer. They're liking it not so much, and disliking it, well, a lot. And the media, they're going to come out eventually, and they're going to start calling people names. That's what they do. They're going to start telling you that if you don't like the Little Mermaid, you're a bad person. And they're going to break that down into such simple and stupid terms, and they're going to create a giant fight that Disney started all on their own between people who would have no disagreements and no conflicts otherwise. You have to realize, folks, I know these people better than they know themselves. They can't help themselves. They follow the pattern each and every time. We've seen this before. Once, twice, thrice, it continues on, and it's not nice. Let's talk today about The Little Mermaid and the ridiculous controversy that surrounds it and all the bad actors who want to sow division in our society just so that they can shield bad content and bad movies. Before we do all that, if you like content like this, you might consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and that notification bell. It's fun to click it and stick it to the algorithms. Don't forget that the Pro Show debuts the very first episode live this Thursday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we covet your comments, so drop one down below. Now, last week, we put out a video along with Force of Light Entertainment talking about how Hollywood really wants to make you and everybody else mad. It's all planned, from doing the April O'Meal thing where they changed the race, they changed the ethnicity, and they changed the physical appearance, and they do so in a way that makes the character look worse, not better. All of that, a smokescreen in order to slime fans, and we showed how even Seth Rogen had, sort of admitted that was the entire strategy years ago. Well, that's what's happening again with The Little Mermaid. And it's not very nice. What it does is it creates a controversy and it creates division between people where without this, there would be none. And I don't like that very much. One of the things that I always try to do is when I'm doing a video, I think to myself, how can we aim this higher? Because every time that I do a video, I just think it's such an honor that people are sitting there and listening, that you're spending time with me, that you give me this time, whether you're at the gym or in your car, or perhaps you're at the office or you're driving, whatever the case may be. I think it's an honor to get to share this time with you. And then I want to use that to elevate both of us if it's possible. And I don't want people to be mad. I don't want people to be divided. I don't want a silly little movie about a half-human, half-fish girl to be a device used to make people feel poorly about each other. And I wish Hollywood would stop it. In fact, let's take a listen now at what I thought earlier, 1 week ago, about this, and see if you agree. And so, but this is all going to be boiled down into a binary choice.
Yes.
You either like The Little Mermaid live action, and therefore you're a good person, or you don't like it, and therefore you're a bad person. That's how stupidly simple they will distill this and then force people to pick a side. And on this channel, I'm not going to play their stupid games because it's stupid. Now, in hindsight, the actual reality taking place is that Hollywood is a cynical city, and it's always been that way. We know of the misdeeds and the sins of Hollywood, and we know that it's not the beacon of virtue that perhaps the movie stars would like for us to believe. And so as I began to look at why is the strategy here to slime the fans, to curse the market, to hate upon the consumers? Why is this strategy sticking its head back up above the surface yet once more? Well, I came upon something, and I think that the actual truth about why Hollywood, why the celebrities, why the writers and the musicians and the directors, etc., all want to hate upon the very people who are paying for the tickets comes down to, they're afraid. And what they're afraid of is that this movie is not going to be very popular. First of all, it's being written by a director and directed by a director, I suppose you might say, that doesn't have a great track record. I don't think that Mary Poppins 2 was quite as popular as we may have hoped originally. And guess what else? If you're going to do a live action remake of a Disney cartoon, The Little Mermaid's probably about as hard of a movie that you could choose to do. It's very difficult to make an underwater mermaid, uh, brightly colored, CGI heavy film that's going to look good. That's tough. And so here's what I think is really going on. Let me just show you this. If we look at the online interest for a movie that we know is going to be popular, we know this is going to be big. The Super Mario Brothers movie, when that comes out, that's probably going to break $1 billion, right? People are going to love this thing. It's going to drive merchandise. Kids are going to be playing Mario. Nintendo is already getting the NCU, which, by the way, we exclusively talked about that here on this channel. The very first time you ever heard of the NCU. Well, Nintendo, now that's all over the news that they're getting ready to do that. People are talking about who's going to be cast as Samus, and they're talking about Zelda and all the different incarnations that could come from that. Well, if you look at the Super Mario Brothers movie on Twitter, and you look at the number of followers there, what you find is that it has well over 200,000 followers. And that's a healthy thing, right? That indicates that a lot of people really want to see what this account has to say about the Mario Brothers movie. And that makes sense if you're somebody anticipating a film. And that's what we expect to see out of popular films. Now let's take a look at the Little Mermaid live action remake account on Twitter. And what we find is vastly different. We find 12,900 followers. That is abysmal. That is tiny. It makes no sense. And so we don't have access to Disney's internal polling. We can't see how bad Disney must know this is going to get. And we can't tell what the future holds exactly. Perhaps there will be massive throngs of mothers taking their daughters to see The Little Mermaid and relive their childhood and let their daughter watch it, and they'll sing the songs together and joy will be had, and they'll even pull along a little brother or an uncle or an aunt or multiple friends, and then they'll go to McDonald's and they'll get Little Mermaid toys and it will just be joyous. And maybe that'll happen. I don't know. But I'm looking at something right here that says otherwise. Now, again, we don't know what will happen. Maybe all of those mothers who are so excited, they just don't exist on Twitter, right? Maybe Twitter isn't the place for that. But I don't know what's going on where the Super Mario Brothers movie has hundreds of thousands of followers and The Little Mermaid barely tops 10,000. That's a problem. And when you look across the other social media platforms, you begin to see a similar pattern. Now, maybe it can make that up. Maybe at the box office, it'll really take off. Maybe fans just, they've already seen it, and so they're not dying to get, spoilers. So they're just waiting to see it when it comes in theaters, but they're not going to go look online for all kinds of stuff. Maybe that's the case. But something is driving Disney using this old Kenobi strategy, and the Kenobi strategy didn't work. And I always thought it was weird that Kenobi, a series on Disney Plus about a middle-aged white guy, became somehow a vehicle for discussing racial issues. That was so odd to me. And yet here we go again with The Little Mermaid, which should be an easy $1 billion for Disney. They should be making tons of money off this. There's no reason they shouldn't. And what I said in the last video, which we'll come back to with another clip because I want you to see just how right we've been on this. We just tell the truth. We just tell you what these people are going to do. But when we looked at that last time, we said, there's no reason this movie should not make $1 billion. There's no reason that this movie shouldn't be highly successful. All they have to do is shut up. Just put the movie out there and watch it make money. But that's difficult for them to do. They struggle with that for whatever reason. They want to turn this movie's reception into a morality card. And I'm here to tell you that whether or not you click the like button or the dislike button on a trailer, that does not determine your virtue. You see, virtue comes from your ethics, not your ethnics. And whatever you think of the trailer, whether you like it or dislike it based on the CGI fish and the muted colors and the direction, the artistic direction that's taking place, that has nothing to do with whether you're a good person or a bad person. That has to do with how you treat others. That has to do with when someone's in need, are you a genuine friend that they can count on, regardless of the color of their skin, regardless of their gender, regardless of their background, regardless of their lot in life? And if you're the kind of person that other people can count on to be a friend and to be genuine and to be principled and to have integrity, that matters orders of magnitude more than what you think of a movie trailer. Hollywood would like for you to boil this down to you're good if you like this and bad if not. Again, that's just too stupid for us. We're not playing that game. Here's what we had to say about it. Because here's what's going to happen now. And this is a formula we've seen play out. You and I have just been discussing the reasonable issues so far with this trailer, which might result in people saying that they don't like it and clicking the dislike button. But that is a more difficult thing to articulate. And there is no interest on the part of the access and legacy media in reporting the issues with the trailer so far. And so all of this is going to be boiled down to the people disliking this trailer are bad people. And they dislike it for very bad reasons. They dislike the color of the skin of the Little Mermaid, and they dislike the color of the skin of all people who are like the Little Mermaid. And this is going to create the same thing that we've seen before with Peter Pan and Wendy, the same things that we've seen before when they've done these ethnicity swaps in the past, which would never go in the reverse, right? We would never see a Caucasian Black Panther. That would never happen. And it seems to me, like, I don't care about many of these ethnicity swaps, but it seems to me that when a character is defined in some way by their ethnicity, and I think that Ariel probably is defined because she's a light-skinned, red-headed girl, and I think a lot of people who have red hair identified, or symbolized Ariel as being representative of them in some way. So I think, yeah.
Absolutely. I don't. Your channel hasn't seen my co-host, but my sister, my co-host Natalie, she's a natural redhead, and that's something that kind of catches her eye because, and it seems across the board, almost every iconic redhead character has been replaced.
All right, now let's take a look at the Hollywood elites doing exactly what we said. We're not going to get into what the lead actor/actress had to say about this. We're not going to talk about Lin-Manuel Miranda. We could talk about all those things, but this is the latest thing. This is out of People magazine by Disney's Josh Gad, a Disney legend, right? And here's what he has to say. Now, remember, he does not know the people who have clicked dislike or thumbs down on the YouTube video. There are millions of them, but he doesn't know any of them. He doesn't have any clue what's going on, but here's what he has to say. Disney star Josh Gad calls out pathetic racist response to the Little Mermaid trailer, reminding his followers that the character is a make-believe singing mermaid. Well, I'm glad that he clarified that. I thought this was a historical document. Wow. Thank you, Josh Gad. Gad showed his support for Bailey's live-action adaptation of the famous role. Josh Gad is supporting his Disney family. And this is also weird to me, people. You have a family. Disney is not Josh Gad's family. He has kids, he has aunts, he has uncles, he has grandparents, he has parents. Disney's not his family. That's weird. Don't do that. Don't mix that. After the first trailer for Disney's live-action adaptation of The Little Mermaid debuted during the 95th Academy Awards, which, by the way, that was Disney paying themselves to do that, Gad, who is 42 years old and should be over mermaids, called out the ongoing racist response to Halle Bailey's casting as Ariel. Again, we have no idea why people are disliking this. We gave a ton of reasons that you could dislike this in the last video. It looks terrible. The CGI fish, the CGI crab, the CGI bird all look terrible. The color palette that they're using for this movie looks more like a war film. It looks more like Saving Private Ryan. So maybe it's Saving Private Ariel. I don't know. But think about this. This same director did Mary Poppins 2, and it was widely discarded as being just not good and not worthy of holding the title of Mary Poppins. And we're allowed to dislike that. We're allowed to dislike that movie. But when it comes to this movie, this trailer, which doesn't look good, we're not allowed to dislike it anymore. Why is that? Well, in my opinion, it's because Hollywood has decided that when they put out subpar content, The correct strategy for them is to individuals, use individuals as shields for criticism. And so they put these actors and actresses out in front and they deflect all of the negativity for their content onto these individuals. And then that way, the content producer, this being Disney right now, is virtuous just by the fact that they have slimed all of the market and said, the market, and by the way, where are all the people liking this trailer? Clearly, we must just be filled with horrible, horrible ogres and trolls all throughout society by the fact that it's 5 times more disliked than liked. But what Disney does is they use people as shields. Let's continue on. Imagine being so broken and pathetic in life that your chief concern is the skin color of a make-believe singing mermaid, Gad wrote Thursday on Twitter. Well, imagine, Mr. Gad, if you actually believed that anybody in this world had a chief concern of the skin color of mermaids, because I doubt that's at the top concern of anybody. I just struggle to imagine that there's anybody so psychologically damaged that the Little Mermaid is at the top of their list of things they're concerned about. Perhaps they're concerned about family issues and making money. Perhaps they're concerned about relationships, and perhaps they're concerned about diseases and fears that they have or aspirations they hold. I doubt that the Little Mermaid is the number one chief concern, but I'm so glad that Mr. Gad is slinging all of those accusations and making things so simple for people to hate each other over. It's very nice. It's a very nice thing to do. The first teaser for the highly anticipated update of the 1989 animated film has additionally garnered 3.5 million dislikes since it debuted in September. Sounds like people don't like it. The Little Mermaid director, Rob Marshall, previously responded to this backlash, which has plagued the film, explaining there was no agenda in choosing her. We assume that's true. We just don't understand why this entire thing is being used. Seems to defend a bad film. It just doesn't, And when the trailer is disliked, it makes no sense. Now, having said all this, Yellow Flash did a video recently and brought up the fact that Creed 3 is out there. And Creed 3 is, well, it stars a minority. I know you guys can't believe that. And I hate to call anybody that. I mean, I just hate the idea that we categorize ourselves in this way. But Creed 3 features someone of African descent as the lead actor. The same as The Little Mermaid. I know. It's amazing. And yet Creed 3 has, well, it's been received extremely well. In fact, it's being received so well that it is breaking the expectations at the box office. Tremendous. Well, that just doesn't make sense, though, does it? How can that be? And yet at the same time, The Little Mermaid is being faced with this huge, vast number of trolls and evil people who hate it for reasons that seem to come out of the decades past. Well, I found something else too, and I want to give Yellow Flash credit for that because I thought it was genius. I thought the video was genius. I thought it was genius because it tells the truth. That's why I really, really like it, because it's hard to deny the truth once you see it that way. But here's something else that's extremely truthful, and I think everybody needs to see this. Auli'i, the voice of Moana, she's a young actress. She is extremely talented. And she did a live action remake of The Little Mermaid. And guess what? She's also not what I guess you would call white, whatever that is. She's Polynesian. And her skin is not fair colored, shall we say, like Ariel's in the cartoon. And would you look at this? People didn't care. People didn't mind. In fact, people liked this apparently. Look at the upvotes versus the dislikes. How about that? We've already done this. We have already done The Little Mermaid with the ethnic background swapped. And we did it without controversy. And it was recent. It was very recent. And people liked it. You know why? Because it must have been good enough for people to like. How about that? But now, because Disney's scared, because Hollywood is scared, we have these people, these flamethrowers, who choose to divide us and who choose. It's really sad that it's children who become the pawns in this, because children now will take up these idiotic arguments coming from people like Josh Gad, these manipulators. Children don't know to filter this out. They don't understand the strategies being played. And children will believe that because of their skin color, that nobody wants them to be a lead in a movie, despite the fact that for decades, people with all kinds of skin colors have been the leads of movies. And despite the fact that we just did this with The Little Mermaid with resounding success. Here's a great point from Force of Light that I think was excellent in the last video, and I'd like for you to hear one more time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. They really do kind of hide behind making decisions like this to basically shield an inferior product.
Now, with all of that said, folks, I hope you come away from this honestly a better person. As I think through the Little Mermaid situation, why Hollywood is doing this, and who the victims of it are, I hope you come away better. The same as me. I always want to lift you up, and I always want to lift others up. We're all God's babies, and we should all treat each other right. And when it comes to this Little Mermaid thing, this is a controversy and this is a divide that's unnecessary. We all need to be kind to all other people, and we need to be kind to ourselves, and we need to maybe ignore and maybe push back against the people who would use artificial means by which to divide us in the interest of crazy corporations that we know have not so secret agendas. It's time for that to end. And that's why the companies fear places like this channel, because I'm going to keep telling the truth. And I hope that as you join me in listening and formulating and sharing the truth together, that we'll come to a better place where we're not going to allow companies to continue doing this stupid thing where we divide each other over and over and over for artificial gains from corporations. It's just not worth it. And I don't think that it's working anymore. And that's why perhaps this will be one of the last times that we hear this screeching and moaning and whining and crying out of Hollywood. Because surely they have to realize at some point, at least the more intelligent ones, that we've figured out the game, and you're not going to game us when we call you out before you ever do it and say, here's what they're up to, here's how this will happen, and then we play the receipts back. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about that notification bell. I do covet your comments, so please drop one down below. Don't forget about the Pro Show. And when you come away from this video, I hope you're like me. I hope that you grow a little bit, just as I have grown preparing for this. And think about, how can I make the world a better place, and how can I fight back against those who, whether they understand what they're doing or not, are attempting to divide us all. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.